Hey Tampa, millions of people have switched to Sprint this past year. To celebrate, you could save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile rate plans when you switch to Sprint. And now with our 30-day satisfaction guarantee, try Sprint, and if you're not satisfied, just return your phone and we'll refund your money. No gimmicks, it's that simple. Visit a Sprint store, sprint.com, or call 800-SPRINT1 to learn more. Carrier features differ, subject to $30 activation fee, new line port, and credit. Excludes taxes, surcharges, add-on, and premium content. See website for eligible plans. Savings until 5/31/18 after pay full amount. Offer coverage not available everywhere. Guarantee excludes international usage not included in plan, premium content, and third-party billing. Exclusions and restrictions apply.
Donald Trump here. Do what I do. Listen to the Brian Craig Show. He's fantastic. He's a lot better than Rush, Beck, Levin, and Hannity. Trust me, those guys are losers. Brian, he's a winner. You better believe it. His wife, Kathy, she's as hot as Melania. Okay, now it's time for the show. Listen to everything Brian has to say. He's a very smart guy, just like me.
I'm back!
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida.
The great story here is this vast right-wing conspiracy that has been conspiring against my husband since the day he announced for president.
Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
You can follow Brian on Twitter and Facebook and listen to archived shows at briancraigshow.com.
What difference at this point does it make?
And now, Brian Craig.
I'm back!
All right, we are back. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. I'm going to call our guest right up.
Hello.
Hello, Juanita, please.
This is Juanita.
Hey, Juanita, it's Brian with the Brian Craig Show. How you doing?
Yes.
Okay, good. I called you up. We have our interview scheduled, so I'm gonna go right into it. All right.
Okay. Are you taping or what?
We're gonna go live. We're gonna be live. So
it's going to be live. Okay.
Everything live. I do everything live. All right, I want to jump right into it. On the line, we are joined by Juanita Broaddrick, and I want a woman who sadly needs little introduction to this audience, but unfortunately, there's a generation of Americans who need to be introduced to Juanita Broaddrick, and I want to thank you, Juanita, for giving us time and speaking with us today on the Brian Craig Show.
Sure.
You know, I got to tell you, it's I mean, your story is a sad one, and I'll let you tell it, but I want to ask there's a generation of people that don't know you because there's a media out there that doesn't want to tell them about you. But in 1978, Juanita Broaddrick, here on the line, was sexually assaulted by the Attorney General of Arkansas, who right now is vying for the job of being the first gentleman of the United States, and that's William Jefferson Clinton. And I got to ask you, Juanita Broaddrick, you know, you made some very public interviews years ago, and you haven't been giving interviews for quite some time, for years, really.
Right.
And now you're back. And why now? Why are you coming out now to tell your story again?
Well, I have to be very truthful. It's mainly because so many people have asked. But after watching the Benghazi hearings and watching Hillary on TV do her usual lying and have the same kind of face that she had when I met her that time, I just felt like I had to come out again.
Yeah. You know, Hillary Clinton, I think she just tweeted the other day that, you know, women who have been the victim of sexual assault, your voices should be heard. And I don't think there was enough characters for her to say on Twitter, for all you women who have been sexually assaulted, except those that have been sexually assaulted by my husband. Is it accurate to say that you were raped by President Clinton? Is that accurate, or is that too harsh?
Yes, that's correct.
Completely accurate.
It's hard to it's still even today it's hard to say the words. So many times I will, when I'm talking with friends, I'll refer to it as a sexual assault because the term rape is so harsh. But yes, it was rape.
I apologize, because this is an uncomfortable subject for you and me, and I understand what you've been through. And was this, a lot of people when they talk about it and they'll accept that your story is true. I'm talking about Democrats. They'll portray, if they accept it's true, they'll portray it as almost like a date rape where you put yourself in a certain situation. Was it a violent?
Well, you can't blame them for that because that's what I thought. For so long, Brian, I blamed myself. That's why I didn't come forward, and I felt like back in those days, and that may, even though you're talking about 78, you're still talking about the feeling that women had at that time being responsible. I should never have let that man come to my room, but this was the Attorney General of the state of Arkansas. He had visited my nursing home, had told me how interested he was in doing right for the nursing home industry, and I was interested in talking to him about what I felt should come about with talks with the industry and a proper reimbursement system for the nursing homes.
Yeah, well, his mind was on other things.
But I didn't know. Even though I was very impressed with him, and even though I thought he was so charismatic and so was going to be so good for the state of Arkansas, I never, ever in my wildest dreams thought that he was coming to my room for that.
Yeah. Would you describe it, the assault by President Clinton, was it violent?
I don't want to go into that. That is just really something I've tried to put back. I'll just say yes, it was.
Yeah. Well, now
from the injury to my face.
He bit your lip. The reason that people want to talk to you now, the reason I'm talking to you now, is because obviously the man who did this to you's wife is running for president of the United States of America.
Right.
And of course, Hillary knows all of these things. She knows everything that we know and more. And I view Hillary much like the wife of Jerry Sandusky. She's an enabler.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So you'd agree with that. You had an opportunity, unfortunately, after these things happened, to have met Hillary Clinton.
Yes, I did.
Can you tell people about that? Because this was very bizarre.
Yeah, it was. It was truly bizarre. I was very involved in Crawford County in the Clinton campaign for governor. And I had already committed to a fundraiser at a local dentist home and was helping with, sending out invitation, getting people there. And even though I had just been assaulted by this man, I felt a responsibility to be at this meeting, and I was just going to go there, make sure the people were there, all the lists were there for the fundraising, and then I was going to leave. But you have to realize at this time, I still felt responsible. I felt responsible for what had happened. It was just the mental state that I was in at that time. Like, if I hadn't let him come to my room, this wouldn't have happened. Okay. So I went ahead and went to the meeting. And I was there with several of my friends and two of them that knew what had happened to me. And I told them, I said, if you will take over just as soon as I get these lists done, I'm going to leave. And so a friend of mine who was a local pharmacist in this in my hometown, picked him up at the airport and brought Hillary and Bill to the fundraiser. And when he came in, he preceded them. He came over to me and said, well, you were the topic of the whole drive here to the Criswells. And I just sort of said, well, okay. And then as soon as he left my side and I was about to leave, I see Hillary coming in around the kitchen, and some women point to me, and then she directly comes over to me. and stands in front of me and says, "I'm so happy to meet you, and I wanted to tell you that that Bill and I are so appreciative of everything that you do for him." And it just shocked me, you know.
Yeah, and what do you think?
I started to just turn and walk away and not even speak to her. And she took a hold of my hand and said, "Do you understand everything you do?" And that was that was sickening, you know, to look at her and know that she knew.
What do you think Hillary meant when she said that to you?
Thank you for keeping quiet.
Thank you for keeping quiet.
Thank you for keeping quiet. I know about this, and it's okay, and you just go right along like you have been and keep quiet. I really got frightened, you know, at that moment.
Well,
to know that this was a conspiracy between them.
You know, what's it been like for you to see your attacker become the president of the United States? What do you turn off?
God.
What happened? You turn on the television. He's there. He's being honored. She's being honored. What's that like?
Yeah, it was really hard. I couldn't watch most any of that. I went through several years of a lot of problems. But just before he announced, I was in Little Rock at a nursing home meeting, and he apparently must have seen me there because he was there in the same building, in the same hotel, doing a speech or something. And about 15 or 20 minutes into the meeting, someone comes to the door and says, "Juanita Broaddrick is wanted out in the hall. Juanita Broaddrick is wanted outside," so something to that effect. And I knew this gentleman that came in and said that, but anyway, I got up and went out, and he pointed down around the corner, and so I went down around the corner, and there stood Bill Clinton with two of his bodyguards, and I just can't tell you how shocked I was. And he said, "I need to talk to you." Yeah.
It had to be
and
frightening.
I said, and I just stood there. I was just dumbfounded. And he came over to me and he said, "I just want you to know I'm so sorry for everything that happened." And he went on this long spiel. I'm a father and a husband, and I'm a changed man, and I just wanted you to know that I'm so sorry. And at that moment, I looked at him and I told him to go to hell, and I walked off. And started crying on the way. I was shocked that there was other people out there too that saw him do this. And the man, I know later, Lisa Myers, tried to get the gentleman that had called me out of the meeting to verify this. And of course he wouldn't. He couldn't remember it because his father had just been appointed a state judge.
And, of course, Lisa Myers is the television reporter that put you on national television to tell your story.
Right.
And
yeah.
So that was an acknowledgement by President Clinton that he did rape you. Is right there. He had acknowledged.
Well, to me, yeah. And you know,
absolutely.
That was the first time that I let the blame go from me onto him. I had held on to that for so long. And even though I hated him at that moment, he did me a great job of relieving me. When that's when I finally thought, well, sorry, I won't say that, but this was all your fault, you know, the way he had planned it and everything. But
well, you know, 1978. By the way, we're speaking with Juanita Broaddrick on the line. 1978 was still that Mad Men era, and
oh my God.
Everything that you described, the way you felt and behaved, is textbook of how victims of assault react and behave to these things. Don't tell people or feel responsible. Everything you've told is a textbook. What do you think it is about the American left today, and even in the 90s when you got your first bit of national attention? What is it about liberals, Democrats, that are strong supporters of feminism and feminist rights and women's rights and equal pay, and there are women like you and Kathleen Willey and others who are just completely ignored when you're out there on an issue that they all claim to be champions of? What do you think these people tell themselves to excuse you away?
Oh, I have no idea, Brian. I wish I did. Maybe it would help me more. It's just like the Bill Cosby thing. You know, it's really difficult to explain. I'm sorry, I really don't know.
No, not at all. And do you have what are your feelings about it? Because a lot of people will say, a lot of people don't have a vested interest in Bill Clinton any longer, so it's kind of just become, well, that's how Bill is. But what a lot of Democrats
I know
will say,
is that they just give him a pass.
That's how Bill is. Yeah. And they make jokes about it. But what a lot of people will say is, okay, Juanita Broaddrick, she's telling the truth, but what's that got to do with Hillary? Why should people hold Hillary in any way accountable for this in your mind? Why should people not vote?
She knew. Hillary? She always knew. She knew about everything that he did, and I'm sure when she did find out all of these different things that he did, he would be in hot water. But she still let it slide. She is an enabler, and an enabler because she wanted to further her own political dreams, and she couldn't do that, very well with coming out against the man she was married to and the man who could help her get on to her own political ambition. They're an odd couple. They're an evil couple.
Yeah, I mean they're criminally insane.
Right.
And unfortunately, Hillary doesn't have this, but unfortunately, Bill Clinton has this likability thing about him. This Southern all shucks guy, and he's a likable guy.
Well, sure, that's how he got to my room. I mean, I never knew any of these things existed with him. I didn't know. I didn't know there was a problem with his character, that he had this flaw. I didn't know. I just thought he was just the greatest person.
Yeah. When you went public nationally, when President Clinton was running the first time, when he became president, what was the reaction you would get from people when your face was a little more recognizable than it may be today, because you were on television?
Oh yeah, I was on all the magazine fronts and all of that, and it was just very embarrassing. Well, many of my friends in the campaign and other people would say, "Oh, you just can't do that. You can't say those things about him." It's like, oh yeah, we know this is true, but you just can't come out with that. And that's why I waited so long. I thought, well, I guess my friends are right. I really shouldn't come out. Lisa Myers and I talked for probably almost a year before I finally agreed.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not alone. I mean, and Kathleen Willey and you are not the only two. There's a new book that is just out that talks about a sexual assault that Bill Clinton committed at Oxford, and that's why he left Oxford. And this is an unknown story, at least to me. And there were dozens of women like you. Do you think Bill Clinton is, people call him a sex addict, which kind of just excuses away his they don't call guys in prison for rape sex addicts. They call them rapists. But Is Bill Clinton, do you think he stopped with you when he apologized to you or to Kathleen? Do you think he stopped, or do you think he still carries on this way towards women?
Oh yeah, I'm sure he does. I don't think he's changed at all. I don't think there's one bit of change in him.
Mm-hmm. I've thought when this Bill Cosby story first broke, and more women come out about Bill Cosby, it's bringing people like you back in the news, because we're in this election cycle now with Hillary Clinton. If someone said to you simply, why should I not vote for Hillary Clinton, what would you say to them?
Because she's a liar. Mm-hmm. She is dishonest, and she covered up for a rapist husband.
And victimized countless. Okay. Do you vote?
Oh my gosh!
Do you vote still, or are you done with politics completely?
No, I still vote, and I vote not particularly Democrat or liberal, or Republican. I vote for the man. I vote for who I think is going to be good.
Well, I would imagine that if Hillary is the nominee, you won't be voting for her. I would hope you'd be voting for Donald Trump over Hillary if it came down to that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes.
Oh
yeah,
my
I mean,
gosh,
there's no,
yeah. I don't know how. I guess I'll have to have my TV cable disconnected if there's any possibility that lying woman can get into office, because I don't think I could go through another few years of watching them on TV.
When you see them on
I even
television,
had to change my church times that I attend church. I was Episcopalian, and in the later church, they say the name of the president and all the prayers. Well, I changed to 8 o'clock service, so they would just say the president, and I wouldn't have to hear his name.
Oh, sometimes I've been in church services where they do that. That's
oh yeah.
Did they know who you were in the church? Did they know about this
Oh
story?
yeah, but I mean that's the prayers of the church. You can't. I had to change my schedule. You can't change the church.
When you see the Clintons on television, do you get upset still? Is it traumatic to you?
Yes.
Or are you numb? Yeah.
I'm absolutely. I keep thinking, every few years something will come up. Somehow those people will be stopped, and I won't have to, look at them anymore. But it just hasn't seemed to happen yet.
You've been telling your story for decades now, and you've been telling them the story for a generation. Do you feel you've gotten through to people? I mean, do you think that even the supporters of the Clintons know that you were telling the truth?
I don't know. I don't have an educated guess there. I'm to the point now to where the main reason I haven't come out or said anything is because of my young grandson. And, he's still not aware. He's young enough that I feel like we're going to have to tell him sometime soon before he hears it, from somebody else. But that hurts to know that I'm going to have to tell him about that.
If he Googles Grandma's name, he's going to find it all.
Oh, I know. I know.
When
but hopefully, he has no reason to Google his grandmother right now. So
when he's older, he will. When
when he's older, he'll find out. But I just don't know at this point how to tell him. He's just such a dear soul to me.
When you're out and about and you're just in a store or something and your name comes up, do people recognize the name? Do people still say things to you?
They know it. They're aware. Everybody in my whole town is aware, but they're so polite. Nobody brings it up. I have been with a group of church ladies now for about 3 years, and we all go out to eat every Thursday night, or we'll go to one of our homes. And to this day, not one of them, they're all aware of it, but not one of them have ever mentioned it or brought it up to me. They're just respectful.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you've been through a lot. I mean, I would say, we're speaking with Juanita Broaddrick, I would say there's not a single American who's heard your story that doesn't believe you and knows that you're telling the truth. And I think with confidence you can say that. You're a very believable person. You and Kathleen Willey both. You don't seek out publicity. It comes to you. And you're a very believable person. I believe your story. I was a Democrat when I first. I'm embarrassed to say I used to be a Democrat. And when you were on the program with Lisa Myers, those many years ago, I was a Bill Clinton supporter, and I believed you back then. I was a young guy at the time. And what I find most sickening about you after you've come out about this is that people know it's true and they don't care. And they get around these two people, that this sex offender and his enabler Hillary, and they stand up and applaud them and celebrate them, and it's disgusting, and it's really a national disgrace, quite frankly, that this guy became president after these stories came out, and now is if Hillary didn't run around pretending to be this feminist icon out protecting women, it wouldn't be, but that's her whole persona. And so many women like you, Kathleen Willey had told me about how her life was in danger. Have you ever felt that you were in danger?
Very slightly. I live in a very protected area. You have to have I have 40 acres, and I'm covered with a fence, and you have to have a combination to get into my gate. And so I don't. I feel very protected.
Well, that's good. Well, Juanita Broaddrick, I want to thank you for your time. I want to ask you, as we move into this election cycle, as I said, I know you're not supporting Hillary Clinton, but who do you like right now that's running for president?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Juanita Broaddrick, I'd like that'd be a great. What an endorsement. That might be the best endorsement Mr. Trump has gotten. Yeah, Juanita Broaddrick endorses Donald Trump. Why do you like Donald Trump?
Oh, I just like everything that he says. I think he's so real. He's just so true. He's run million-dollar businesses and knows how to do it. And I think he could run the government so well.
And let me tell you, his young daughter that runs his company is she's beautiful and she's so competent. And Donald
Isn't
Trump
she awesome?
Oh man,
She's
yeah,
just...
and he's so respectful to women too, Donald Trump.
Yes.
That's great. Well, Juanita Broaddrick, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you speaking with me.
Oh, you're so welcome, Brian.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Juanita Broaddrick. Oh, my Lord. Oh. Well, you know what? Let's take our break, and when we get back from the break, I'll talk to Kathy about that, and but we'll process it a little bit, all right? You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name's Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We were just talking with Juanita Broaddrick on the line. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
If you drive, no matter how good of a driver you are, at some point you will need roadside assistance. And when you do, you want to be a member of MCA 24 Hours Multiservices.com. They provide unlimited roadside assistance calls, which includes battery boosting, fuel delivery for when you run out of gas, lockout service, towing, and much more. Your membership also includes discounts on vision care, dental, and prescriptions. You also have the added benefit of discounts on car rentals and hotels. There's accidental death coverage, attorney fee assistance to help you fight those traffic tickets, daily hospital coverage. There's even a stolen vehicles reward. MCA 24 Hours Multiservices.com is the roadside assistance club that has it all. There's also a great way for you to start your own business and make serious money. Give them a call, 888-241-8194. And online, MCA 24, that's the number 24, MCA 24 Hours Multiservices.com. You're a podcast listener. How do I know that? Because you're listening to this podcast right now. I have found a new podcast you gotta check out. Vinny and the Alien. Vinny and the Alien is 2 hours of fun, comedy, music, exclusive interviews, live performances. They even take calls from listeners with a new show every week. Listen to Vinny and the Alien on iTunes. Just go to iTunes and search for Vinny and the Alien. Also, shoutengine.com/Vinny and the Alien and their website, VinnyandtheAlien.com. Vinny and the Alien. Resistance is futile. Do you have a lot of stuff at home just collecting dust that you want to get rid of but don't know how? Don't throw it away. Swap it, give it away, or sell it and turn that extra stuff into cash in your pocket with FreeShare. FreeShare is a new and really cool app. With the FreeShare app, you can search for free and cheap stuff near you in your very own neighborhood. You can search by the type of item you're looking for. You can also ask for stuff that you need. Share your stuff, sell your stuff, swap your stuff with FreeShare. FreeShare is available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Pick up your mobile device right now and download FreeShare. Learn more at free-share.net, the FreeShare app.
I'm back!
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida.
The great story here is this vast right-wing conspiracy that has been conspiring against my husband since the day he announced for president.
Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
You can follow Brian on Twitter and Facebook and listen to archived shows at briancraigshow.com.
What difference at this point does it make?
And now, Brian Craig.
I'm back!
All right, we are back. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. In the last segment, I was speaking with Juanita Broaddrick, who, well, was raped by President Bill Clinton. Wow, what'd you think, Kathy?
I think she's extremely credible and believable, and I just think it's disgusting that, this is how it is. Look at all these women with Bill Cosby. When you're a man, especially when you're famous and well-known, Bill Cosby has over 40 women that have come forward, and still there's many, many people. I think people have finally started to come around to think, well, but it took that many women to come forward. Even the first 20 people are saying, well, they're just, it's a sad state that's what people don't realize women have to deal with. I understand it's her word against his, but there's a pattern with him. Other women have come forward. He goes to that island where there's young, girls with that billionaire guy. Everybody knows. So it's not like people don't know. Everybody knows, and they just dismiss it, and they're like, "Oh well, that's just the way he is." This guy.
I didn't want to get into this part. I didn't want to get into this part with her because I do have a bit of a heart. But one thing that really pisses me off.
It's a sensitive issue.
Oh yeah, when they talk about Juanita Broaddrick, these liberals, you hear this a little bit with the Bill Cosby people. They look at them now, and of course, these things. This was 1978.
Yeah, they're older women now.
So they're older women, and they're like, oh, why would Bill Clinton rape that old lady? Well, go back and look at the photographs of Juanita Broaddrick in 1978. She was a nurse back in the day when they wore the white uniforms with the hats, and she was a hottie. She's a very nice lady today and a grandma and all of that. But she was she was. They judge these women by their age today, like, oh well, why would President Clinton or Bill Cosby rape grandma? Well, they weren't grandmas then.
It just upsets me because
disgusting.
There seems to be no justice when it comes to the Clintons. They just seem to, and I've said this before. I think they've made a deal with the devil. I really do. They'll get theirs in the end when they. Maybe not till they die and they're in front of God, and they're going to have to face him eventually and be held accountable for all the things they've done. And that's the ultimate court. But there seems to be that nothing sticks to them, like they just get away with everything.
Yeah, they're pure evil. There's no getting around that.
Oh, they made a deal with the devil, evil. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take that interview and I'm going to put it up on YouTube. And I'm going to tweet it to the Trump Organization because Juanita Broaddrick endorsing Donald Trump. I think that was pretty wild. That was because she is a Democrat. You never know. You know what I mean? And she endorsing Donald Trump's a pretty big endorsement. The thing about I'm glad Juanita Broaddrick talked to me, but really she should be talking to Rachel Maddow. Chris Matthews.
They're not going to. They'll just paint her as uncredible. They really will. As they will.
Yeah, but the party of the left, the party of the Democrats are the ones that are the champions of women's rights. They're against sexism.
They don't want to hear it.
They're for equal pay. And when you have women that are actually victimized, this story that I just heard recently. There's a new book out. About Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. And Bill Clinton was kicked out of Oxford for sexually assaulting a girl over there. And that's why he left.
This is a pattern with this guy. He's a serial rapist.
His entire life. And we will never know how many victims there are, just like we'll never know how many victims there are of Bill Cosby. But the problem with this is Bill Cosby is not running for office. Bill Cosby is not ever going to get another major movie deal or television contract with a network. Bill Cosby is done.
Right, no, he won't. But women need to come forward, but they're afraid to come forward because look what happens. Nobody believes them.
They don't
care. And people, the media is horrible, and the press will paint them as they're just liars, and they're just, they're who knows? They just paint them in a very negative light, and they ruin their life. That's what they do.
The way that Bill Clinton handles himself, the way President Clinton handles himself with women is like you would expect in Saddam Hussein's Iraq. You know what I mean? Like a dictator who, I just recently watched a documentary on Gaddafi, and he would send guys in to take girls out of school and rape them. And, that's basically what Bill Clinton would do. He would women, and he would target them. And that's what he did with Juanita Broaddrick. And The only people that talk about this are Republicans, and they say, "Oh, it's partisan, it's partisan, it's partisan." You know, the Democrats. I don't know what they tell. What does Rachel Maddow and Chris Matthews tell themselves?
I think you're dealing with immoral people to begin with. So you're not dealing with people that have a moral compass. So I think they believe it. I think they know it's true. I just don't think they care. They just don't care. I mean, they're probably involved in behavior that's just maybe not just as bad, but questionable, and they just don't care. The liberals think that, you know, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on. They just think that it doesn't matter. He's a good president. He's doing what's right for the country. So what if he has a little quirk and he likes to rape women? Who cares? I mean, that's how they process it, seriously.
Bill. That's just how Bill is. Listen, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. You're listening to The Brian Craig Show. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
It's time to make your reservation for the Steve Kane cruise to Mexico. Steve Kane and me, Brian Craig, are sailing to Mexico March 2nd through the 6th, and you are all invited, except Doug. Doug, you are not invited, but the rest of you are. The Steve Kane cruise to Mexico sails out of Fort Lauderdale's Port Everglades on board Royal Caribbean's Independence of the Seas, and we are going to Cozumel, Mexico. There's a lot to do on the ship, and we're going to do it all together. Shows, bars, dinner together every night, cocktail parties, and so much more. When we get to Mexico, we're going to see the sights, hit the town, and have a great time, and do everything there together, too. Since it's a cruise, you're going to see Steve Kane wearing a swimsuit. That's worth going right there. To make reservations, call Cruise and Travel Depot at 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779. Or go to SteveKaneShow.com and click the Steve Kane Cruise to Mexico link. If you drive, no matter how good of a driver you are, at some point you will need roadside assistance. And when you do, you want to be a member of MCA 24 Hours Multiservices.com. They provide unlimited roadside assistance calls, which includes battery boosting, fuel delivery for when you run out of gas, lockout service, towing, and much more. Your membership also includes discounts on vision care, dental, and prescriptions. You also have the added benefit of discounts on car rentals and hotels. There's accidental death coverage, attorney fee assistance to help you fight those traffic tickets, daily hospital coverage. There's even a stolen vehicles reward. MCA 24 Hours Multiservices.com is the roadside assistance club that has it all. There's also a great way for you to start your own business and make serious money. Give them a call, 888-241-8194. And online, MCA 24, that's the number 24, MCA 24 Hours Multiservices.com. I have an incredible book to recommend to you this week, Finding Our Happiness Flow, from author Dr. Robert Puff. Dr. Puff is a clinical psychologist, speaker, marriage counselor, life coach, and author of many books, including his latest, Finding Our Happiness Flow. Finding Our Happiness Flow is a must-read book. You will learn how to find happiness, how to love your life, and experience happiness every day, regardless of what circumstances you are going through. The author, Dr. Robert Puff, has been featured on Discovery Channel, WebMD.com, and Psychology Today. I'm recommending you read Finding Our Happiness Flow because I've read it, and this is a great read. The book flows, and I'm already feeling happier. Order your copy of Finding Our Happiness Flow on Amazon in Kindle, paperback. There's even an audiobook edition. Right now, the Kindle edition is only 99 cents. 99 cents to find happiness. That's a great deal. Finding Our Happiness Flow from author Dr. Robert Puff. Available on Amazon.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. You can follow Brian on Twitter and Facebook and listen to archived shows at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian Craig.
All right, I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, and we are live weekdays, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can listen to us live on Pundit Press Radio at punditpress.com. Yeah, if you all hear anyone in the press talking about Juanita Broaddrick endorsing Donald Trump, you'll know this is the original source of it, because I'm going to tweet that around, because that says, you know, a dialogue needs to be made about this. You know,
make sure you put hashtag Brian Craig Show.
Okay, I'll put hashtag Brian Craig Show. Hillary Clinton is a sick, twisted woman, and she is dangerous. You know, Juanita Broaddrick said what got her to start doing interviews again was watching those Benghazi hearings, because, you know, it doesn't surprise Juanita Broaddrick that Hillary Clinton has no empathy towards Chris Stevens and the others who died in Benghazi, because she has no feelings towards the victims of her husband. She is really
she's a true sociopath. That's a sociopath right there.
Yeah.
But you know, wouldn't you agree, Brian? You know, Hitler was a sociopath, and wouldn't you agree? And Obama's certainly an arrogant. I mean, wouldn't you agree that many people who get into those types of positions have a certain personality type that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think most people, not everybody, and I wouldn't say this about Donald Trump, I wouldn't say this about Ronald Reagan, but a lot of people who get into these positions, who make it to that, do have a certain personality type that gets them there in the first, because, you know, Hillary, if she maybe in her mind, but if she hadn't done all these things, or she wouldn't be where she is today, and that's all that matters to her. Is it doesn't matter if Bill's raped women, it doesn't matter if I got a rapist off, it doesn't matter if guys died in Benghazi. What matters is I'm here. What matters is I become president, because for her and for many liberals, the ends justifies the means. But I think a lot of people that are leaders like that, like president or really, really high up, do have a certain personality type that fits in with a sociopath, meaning they just, you know, you step on people, you don't care, and it doesn't matter, and you do whatever it takes. I mean, don't you agree that that's maybe a common personality trait with a lot of people that are highly successful?
And look at what's going on with Ben Carson. This is the beginning of the end for his presidential run.
Yeah, he's in trouble.
On his way out now. Because he was, what did Bill Clinton once say? He was less than truthful when it came to this West Point thing. And I don't know, you know, it was 40 years ago. Who knows what was going on? It wasn't really a lie. There was some liberties with the language. But look at what...
How do you know it wasn't a lie? How do you know?
Even if it was, so what? He was going to get in West Point or not. You compare that to what Bill and Hillary Clinton have done to women like Juanita Broaddrick countless times.
Well, I agree. It's definitely less serious.
It's not even less serious. It's not even jaywalking what Ben Carson's being accused of in comparison to this. And the press are out there to hammer him and destroy him and run him out of the race.
Because he's a conservative. That's why, and they're liberals. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And CNN, when they were talking to Carson the other day, we played this on the show on Friday or Thursday, I don't remember. They confronted Ben Carson. We cannot find anyone who will back up this story that you threw rocks and tried to stab someone. And we went there. Here you've got women like Juanita Broaddrick, Kathleen Willey, and others who are coming out to the media. Please listen to us. Listen to what Bill and Hillary did to us. There are witnesses, and they don't want to hear from them. And you know, they can tell themselves that Bill Clinton is old news, but Hillary Clinton's running for president right now, and she's the Democrat frontrunner. She's most likely to get the nomination than anybody else running right now in the Democrat Party. And it's very relevant. There are multiple people like Juanita Broaddrick out there that are ready to, and the press don't want to hear it.
Well, I think the biggest problem Hillary has is that Bill cannot control himself. And women are objects of sex for him, and that is all they are to him. And he cannot control his urges. And I think if she does win and he is in that position and in the Oval Office, he really isn't going to have a job, but he's going to have all the perks. Yeah. I think that there's going to be a lot of problems. I think there's going to be even more scandals coming out with him. I think this is not going to stop happening, and I think other women might come forward and say, well, it could still be happening, and it could still happen. And I think if she, it's be careful what you wish for. And all she's ever wanted was to become president, and that's been her end game. But becoming president is going to have its own problems, and he might become a bigger problem for her because he cannot control himself. Obviously, he's the same as he was in the 70s. I'm not saying he's out raping women, but he's certainly a sex addict. Certainly.
Well, yeah, listen, Democrats are never held to any standard on anything. They can do whatever they want to do no matter how they hurt people or how wrong it is. And Democrats, they tell themselves, well, Yeah, this is what they say. This is what they say, because I've heard them say this. Yes, Bill Clinton is all of those things, but he does so much good. He did so much good as president that we need him there. He's the only one. He's done so much good. It trumps all of this disgusting behavior that went on. And I know I don't want to hold Kathy's not responsible for everything I do in my life. But if I did something like Bill Clinton has done multiple times with multiple women, and Kathy helped me with the cover up of it, I mean that's
if
like
you
an
did
accessory.
it one time, it would be over.
Yeah, Hillary is almost like an accessory after the fact, because
the fact that she went up to her and shook her hand and kind of let her know, I know and I appreciate you doing everything to help us. That is a true sociopath. That is really where she has zero empathy for anybody, and it is all about her power and her position, and she sees people as pawns in a chess game.
That's right.
Truly.
Yeah.
And she is to be president is her checkmate. And until that happens, and even when it does happen, she will continue. It's just the way she's run her life. I mean, she'll continue to just manipulate people and see them as objects. And if something like that happens, she's more concerned with them staying silent than the truth coming out. And she actually has the gall to go up to her and say, "I appreciate your silence on this." I mean, that makes your stomach turn. This is the kind of woman that she is. I don't understand her appeal. I really don't. I don't understand why anybody likes Hillary, and I think a lot of people just are voting for her because she's a woman. I think that's why a lot of women are going to vote for her, because, I've heard many women say, it's about time we had a female president. That's all they care about. But the thing is, in today's society, Brian, people are so desensitized to everything. There's so much information that nothing phases anybody anymore. Nothing shocks anybody anymore, because there's so much information getting out there, so many things. People just dismiss it, and they're like, whatever. Whatever. I mean, who cares? That's nothing new. That's nothing interesting.
We're all out of time. We're out of time. I'm looking at the clock. We had 20 seconds left. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Brian Craig Show. And also listen to us live every weekday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Pundit Press Radio at punditpress.com. And check out all of our past episodes on iTunes. Just go to iTunes and search for Brian Craig or The Brian Craig Show, and the show will come up. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm starting this GoFundMe campaign to help me go on an educational tour to England and France with my school. This trip would allow me amazing opportunities to see and do the things I love, and with your help, I can get there. The first stop, Paris. While in Paris, I'll get to see famous landmarks like the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe. I'll be able to add photos to my photography portfolio while touring the Champs-Élysées and Versailles. I'll be able to sketch and learn from history's greatest artists at the Louvre. After 4 days of absorbing the rich culture of Paris, we'll be traveling by Eurostar train to London. There, I'll see some of the world's most famous landmarks, including Big Ben and St. Paul's Cathedral. I'll get to see the wonders of England, including Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and Stonehenge. This would be the trip of a lifetime, and with your donation, I can have an unforgettable experience.
To help send Emily to Europe, just go to GoFundMe.com and search Send Emily to Europe.
Sometimes food runs short at your kid's birthday party and you suddenly need hot dogs, hamburger buns, and potato chips. Other times, drinks run short at your kid's birthday party and you suddenly need milk, soda, and juice boxes. Other times, tempers run short at your kid's birthday party and you suddenly need a Star Wars Lego set, a Nerf football, and a Barbie Princess Power Super Sparkle doll. With Amazon Prime Now, get over 25,000 everyday essentials, all with free 2-hour delivery. Get started at PrimeNow.com. Selection may vary by city.
Some days, you wake up and quickly need milk, eggs, and butter so you can make healthy omelets for your family. Other days, you wake up and quickly need milk, eggs, and butter so you can make delicious pancakes for your family. Other days, you wake up and quickly need milk, eggs, and butter so you can make butter cookies. Because you know what? You're a grown woman and you like butter cookies. With Amazon Prime Now, get over 25,000 everyday essentials, all with free 2-hour delivery. Get started at PrimeNow.com. Selection may vary by city.